Okay, so I am Madeline Guinazzo, co-founder and director of training for Cuddlist, and this is our Wednesday night teleclass. Always happy to be here. Tonight I get to talk about helping clients trust themselves. And this is so near and dear to my heart with this practice. It really is. If you haven't come to this part in the training, there's a part where I say, what are the three essential elements of a Cuddlist session? All right. And I'll tell you now if you're listening. It's all in the content there. But the three essential elements of a Cuddlist session for our particular approach is the code of conduct, the opening agreement, and that everything be client-led. And tonight I'm talking about client-led. Why client-led? And this is, it's awkward. It's uncomfortable. It's not easy. It's not easy for the client. It's not easy for the practitioner, And a lot of professional cuddling, it does not operate this way. They're like, the client's like, just cuddle me. I don't want to have to think about it. I don't want to have to choose. And a lot of, professional cuddlers are happy to do that. But for Cuddlist, this is really important because at the core of it is helping the clients trust themselves. And what I am passionate about is and what I believe, honestly, is that connecting with other people, really requires having a good inner connection with oneself. So how do we get that inner connection with ourselves? And sometimes they feel in conflict, right? There's a push, tug, pull between what's in me and how I can belong and fit in and connect with other people out there. And if they're not the same, then, I have to conform or change, or other people need to form or change. And then we get into a power struggle, so it can be problematic. So ultimately, this trusting ourselves, which is a lot of what the training is about and what we're practicing and modeling, so that we can show up and be the thing that, the presence and the person that helps facilitate our clients do that, to trust themselves, this is about reducing the drama in our lives. Because if we show up feeling at the effect of others or at the effect of circumstances in our lives, then we feel like a victim, right? And there's a voice in our head that says that we should know something and that we need to make something happen and we don't know how. And that voice can feel like a victimizer, right? That's this voice that's like, oh, should, and not good enough. And then when we, then if the practitioner or someone else jumps in and says, oh, I know what to do, I'll save the day, right? That's the rescuer. And this is the classic drama triangle, a victim, victimizer, rescuer. And we can get stuck in that. And it's just so common everywhere. So the way out of that is to see what happens when we let it be just fine to not know what to do, to not know what's going to happen next, or to not know how to make something happen. But just stay in that place of like, maybe we don't need to know. It's okay. So and this happens, this is so common with clients. They'll come, I had a new client recently. We got to the opening agreement, and then I didn't even get to how would you like to connect. They were just full of like, I feeling anxious, right? And describing, and they were very tuned in with what they were feeling and thinking and what was happening, and very present, which was so helpful. And they were like, my mind just goes blank, and I just keep thinking, I don't know. And then they dissociate, right? Feeling not connected to their body. And I said, that's okay. That's great. Like, that's common, and I understand that. So we just did some validating, and it was all right. And we were, sitting there, and I said, are you comfortable right now? How does your body feel right now? And then they said, oh, yeah, I've got soreness here, and I'm a little stiff, and just sitting is hard, and I kind of do a lot of perching. And I said, well, let's, what would feel comfortable. And so their body knew what to do. Like, they just stretched out on the couch and got some pillows. And I was like, well, would it be better like this or like this? And we got their head all propped up and then they were in a comfortable position. And so that happened very organically. They knew what was happening with their body. And then I sat near them and I said, well, what might feel better now? Do you think maybe some touch or no touch? We could talk for a little while, or what might sound good? And they were like, my feet, like right there by my feet, maybe if you could put your hands on my feet, like it was so spontaneous in the moment. We just kept noticing moment by moment by moment what was happening. And by the end, they were like, that was so amazing that that you knew to rub my feet, or like, I had a foot massage. And I was like, that didn't come from me, right? Like, that. And we sort of backed it up and they were like, oh, yeah, like, you remember, like, just kind of noticing that, like, at each step, that all came from you. And it was so important. It wasn't just the where we got to and what felt good, but my only job was to really notice what they were noticing, to ask them what they were noticing, and then do the things that felt good. And not do the things that didn't feel good, and to be curious and present, and to reflect back and have the client actually acknowledge that and know that and be like, oh, yeah, and I think that's really, really empowering at the end of the day. Because, we all want closeness and connection. I would say people in general, not generalizing, but many, many of us want closeness and connection, but we don't know how. And we start to think that there's something wrong with us, that other people know how. And then we just get stuck in that story and keep creating the story. So I'm going to end this portion by saying, I definitely did not know how to make money doing what I loved. I knew that's what I wanted, but I didn't know how to make that happen. And I didn't know what I was here to do. I had a sense of purpose in the world, but I didn't know exactly what it was. And I did not know how to start a company. I did not know how to run one. And you know what? I still don't. But look at me. But here I am. Look at me now. So to me, that's sort of my way of, kind of affirming for myself all the things. If I could get really scared when I start thinking about all the things I don't know how to do that are really important to me. But then I look at the amazing things that are happening in my life. And so that's my encouragement to all of you to do that. What are the things that are kind of alive and flowering and there in your life that you didn't know how to make happen? And also to say that choosing and deciding take courage. They really do take courage. It's easier to be in drama, right? It's easier to be a victim or victimizer or rescuer because we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what the outcome is going to be. But without doing those things, without choosing and deciding, we can get stuck at drama and we can feel left out of the arena of life, which is what we all really want. And when I say the arena of life, I'm making a reference to Brene Brown and her Daring Greatly quote. So if you don't know it, look it up. It's a good one.